नमस्कार आपण मानक समस्त को यह वीडियो बहुत बहुत स्वागत। तो आज वीडियो में आपन सहित +3 5th सेमिस्टर पॉलिटिकल साइंस ऑनर्स रो DSE 1 बा डिसिप्लिन स्पेसिफिक इलेक्टिव 1 रो यूनिट 4 जहाँ की इंटरनेशनल रेफ्यूजी लॉ एंड इंटरनेशनल ह्यूमैनिटेरियन लॉ रो समस्त इंपोर्टेंट 1 मार्क्स क्वेश्चन आपन से डिस्कशन करबी जहाँ की इंग्लिश में मोस्ट इंपोर्टेंट एवं आ पूर्व मध्य मो यूनिट 1 2 3 ऑलरेडी वीडियो बन सारची एवं सी कोर 11 कोर 12 मध्य ऑलरेडी मो वीडियो बन सारची जो देखि नांती से देखि पारिबे। तो चल तो स्टार्ट करबे। तो हम प्रथम किछि फिल इन द ब्लैंक्स देखिबा। द मूवमेंट ऑफ पीपल बिटवीन स्टेट्स टेक प्लेस थ्रू दिस ना रेफ्यूजी और मिग्रेंट्स आम आगु पढ़ते माइग्रेंट आम चैप्टरटा पूर्वर आम 4th सेमिस्टर पढ़ा मिग्रेंट माइग्रेंट कौन ओके द प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ रेफ्यूजी आर बेस्ड ऑन लॉ League of Nations appointed the High Commissioner for Refugee in 1921. League of the Nations appointed the High Commission for Refugee in 1921 ता हितला। The International Refugee Organization by IRO International Refugee Organization was founded in this 20 April 1946। important question 20 एप्रिल 1946 रे इंटरनेशनल रेफ्यूजी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन टी कोन फाउंड हितला। The Statute of United Nations High Commissioner for Refugee by UNHCR came into being on 1st January 1951। तो ये सब इंपोर्टेंट क्वेश्चन गोटे मन रखि था। UNHCR जहाँकि यूनाइटेड नेशन हाई कमिशनर फॉर रिफ्यूजी वाज पुट ऑन ए परमानेंट बेसिस ऑन 2002 परमानेंट बेसिस थिला। ऑन ह्यूमन ट्रीटी डेज कन्वेंशन इज लिविंग instrument 1951 convention is a living instrument. The DES protocol is referred as amending the 1951 convention. The 1967 protocol is referred as amending the 1951 convention. The basic principle of refugee law is refugee law basic principle कौन non refoulement. The refugee are to be granted equal access to the courts according to article of days of the 1951 convention article 16 हिसाब से माने कोन equal access पाइबे कोर्ट को। Everyone has the right to seek and enjoy in other countries asylum from pre-procession is viewed days of the 1948 Universal Declaration of Human Rights na article 16. International humanitarian law is also known as international humanitarian law is also known as the law of war on law of armed conflict. International humanitarian law is regulated by this na United Nations Charter यहाँ द्वारा से रेगुलेट हुए जो international humanitarian law टी। A major part of humanitarian law is contained in this na a major part of humanitarian law is contained Geneva Conference 1949। next time देखिबा Convention for the Protection of Cultural Property in Event of Armed Conflict was held in 1954. Biological Convention was held in the Biological Convention 1972. Chemical Weapons Convention 1993. तो ऐसे मन रखिथांतु। Now many provisions of international humanitarian law are accepted as days na customary law हिसाब से कौन होइले general rules by which all states are bound in known as days na customary law। Next, the two main sources of international humanitarian law is des and des na treaties customary international law। एक source रही international humanitarian law रो okay। International humanitarian law is a part of des na public international law। International humanitarian law applied only to armed conflict have apply करा जाए। International humanitarian law classified armed conflict as des and des na international armed conflict non international armed conflict। The guardian of international humanitarian law is this na the guardian of international humanitarian law is the International Committee of Red Cross by ICRC okay। next देखिबा an international criminal court was created in days with the responsibility of representing inter war crimes in 1998 Rome Statute with the responsibility of representing inter war crimes। The 1951 convention defines days as individual who is outside his own her country of nationality or habitual residence who is unable or unwilling to return due to the well-founded fear of possession based on his or her race, religion, nationality, political opinion or membership in a particular social group na refugee या को refugee कहा जीवो। refugee को ले बुझी परिबा बा ये सब को 2 मास आसी पारे परीक्षा रे। non refoulement refers to the obligation of state or not to return माने आ रिटर्न करबेनी थरे आसिले माने आसिले ओके। The key international humanitarian law treaties include this Hague Regulation, the 4 Geneva Convention and their additional protocols 1907 रे Hague Regulation, the 4 Geneva Convention and their additional protocols okay। This classifies armed conflict as either international armed conflict by IAC or non-international armed conflict by NIAC ना international humanitarian law classified armed conflict as माने से दिटा IAC गोटे NIAC गोटे in article 3 common to the death an armed group is party to an armed conflict does not give it any particular status under international humanitarian law na Geneva Convention. A major part of international humanitarian law is contained in 4 days convention na of 1949 and Geneva Convention of 1949. The condition under which state may resort to war on to the use of armed force in general is na jus and bellum. The conduct of parties engaged in an armed conflict is regulated by jus in bello. International humanitarian law regulates the activity during armed conflict in situation by descendants na jus in bellum and jus in bells. International law is part of this law. International law is part of international law. Okay. Next time देखिबा one word answers. So what is the main source reason of movement of people between states take place in a refugee or migrant? Refugee मैंने रिटर्न करबे migrant माने जो जीविका ପାଇଁ अन्य जगह जिबा. ओके. तो माइग्रेंट चैप्टर टी आपण 4th सेमेस्टर पढिथे जदि पढ नथिल ताहाले प्लेलिस्ट आपण चेक करले माइग्रेंट कोन तार फीचर्स सहित ताहा कोन किपरि होई थाए ताहा सब ब्रीफली डिस्कशन करछि. लॉन्ग क्वेश्चन आंसर आपण देखि पारबे. नेक्स्ट टाइम देखिबा हाउ डू द रिफ्यूजी आर प्रोटेक्टेड ना रिफ्यूजी कोन लॉ द्वारा प्रोटेक्ट होई थाए. व्हिच इंस्टीट्यूशन फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम अपॉइंटेड हाई कमिश्नर फॉर रिफ्यूजी इन 1921 ना लीग ऑफ नेशंस व्हिच एन इंटरनेशनल स्पेशलाइज्ड एजेंसी टू डील विथ प्रॉब्लम ऑफ द रिफ्यूजी. The International Refugee Organization by IRO is an international specialized agency to deal जहाँ की एजेंसी गोटे international specialized agency to deal with the problems of refugee माने refugee माने कौन असुविधा है ताहाको IRO deal करे. When did the International Refugee Organization was established? यह केबे स्थापित होइतिला ना 20 अप्रैल 1946 स्थापित होइतिला. When did the statute of the United Nations High Commission for Refugee was adopted? ना 14 डिसेंबर 1950 ताहाको एडॉप्ट कराइला UNHCR को बा यूनाइटेड नेशन हाई कमिश्नर को. When did the statute of UNHCR by United Nation High Commissioner for Refugee came into being? Now 1st January 1951. How was the mandate of the statute of UNHCR for all member states? Now general and universal. When did Refugee Treaty of 1951 Convention relating to the status of refugee was finalized by states in July 1951 Geneva? When did 1951 Convention regarding refugee come into force? 1954 हेतुला बा 1954 रे हेतुला. Which is consent of the living instrument of human rights treaty? Human living instrument or human rights treaty कोन 1951 Convention को consent रज a living instrument on human rights treaty. What is the nature of 1951 Convention of Refugee? ना state centric. Individual who is outside his or her country मान जे जो लोक जे तार निजर कंट्री बाहर पड़थिबो और nationality or habitual residence who is unable or unable to return आउ से कोन रिटर्न हो पार नथियो due to a well founded fear माने किछि ताको भय थिबो और prosecution based on his her race, religion, nationality, political opinion on membership in a particular group is known as a refugee. What is the basic principle of refugee law? Non-foulement. What is universally acknowledged as human right? Non-foulement. Which convention protects all rights of refugee? 1951 Convention is protect all rights of refugee. Which organization grants refugee status as well as issue refugee certificate? Na UNHCR by United Nations High Commissioner for Refugee Organization grants refugee status as well as issue refugee certificate. Which article UNHCR refers that everyone has the right to seek and to enjoy in other countries asylum for processing? Na Article 14 of 1948. When did International Refugee Organization was replaced by a new agency known as International Protection to Refugee? 1951 ଗୋଟେ organization ହେଲା ଆମେ ଜାଣିଛନ୍ତି convention. Okay, 1951 convention. Which law is set of rules that seek to limit the effect in armed conflict for humanitarian reason? Na International Humanitarian Law. What is the other names of International Humanitarian Law? The other name called the Law of War on the Law of Armed Conflict. When did universal conflict codification of international humanitarian law begin? Na 19th century asila. Where we can find a major part of international humanitarian law? Na Geneva Convention 1949 ame major part pai pariba international humanitarian law ro. When did the Ottawa Convention and Anti-Personal Mines held? 1997 1997 रे होइतिला. When did optional protocol to the Convention on the Rights of the Child or the Involvement of Children in Armed Conflict was be held on 2000? What are the main sources of international humanitarian law, rules and regulation? The main source from treaty, customary international law. Which organization created a database on customary international humanitarian law? Now, the International Committee of Red Cross created a database on customary international humanitarian law. What refers to a broad set of treaties, customary law, principle and norms, na public international law to refers to a broad set of treaties, customary law, principle and norms. Next देखिबा, by which process does the international humanitarian law regulate the activity during armed conflict and situation of the occupation, jus et bellum and jus on bello process रही ताहा द्वारा international humanitarian law regulate the activity during the armed conflict and situation of occupation. Which situation refers to the condition under which state many resort to war on to the use of armed force in general, na jus et bellum. Which regulates the conduct of parties engaged armed conflict, na jus bello. Jus bello party engage होचंदी और jus et bellum रे refers to the condition under which states may many resort to war on to use of armed force in general. Okay. On which concept does the humanitarian international law try to balance within a military necessity and humanitarian concentration? In which sphere does the international humanitarian law applied for an armed conflict sphere does the international humanitarian law applied for? What do you mean by lex specials derogate legis generally? Na the more specific rule will prevail over more general rules. तो ये 1 मार्क्स क्वेश्चन 2 मार्क्स क्वेश्चन जो रही आप कौन करें ना नेक्स्ट सब ये आम डिस्कसन करवा. तो थैंक यू टू ऑल फॉर वाचिंग दिस वीडियो. तो ये यूनिट 4 जो मैंने कि यूनिट 1 2 3 देखी ना से आगु जाई देखि पारे आम प्ले स्टोर आप चेक कर पारे. थैंक यू टू ऑल फॉर वाचिंग दिस वीडियो. तो जब आप वीडियो भल लगे ताहले वीडियो को शेयर करूँ जहाँद्वारा कि ये जो नोट्स टी समस्त पहुँची पार और समस्त स्टडी हेल्प